Hello everybody, welcome back. So in a previous video, I actually talked a little bit about money, and I sort of said, okay, and perhaps in the next video I will expand more on this whole topic of money because it requires a lot of time, I guess, to share about this new understanding of money that I am anchoring into my own vessel and my own money template. All my life, I've always struggled with this whole money thing. There's always this fear of not having enough. There's always this fear of just this crippling fear, you know, when you spend money, and even on the smallest thing, like maybe a cup of coffee or like a cookie, and then this crippling fear when you're paying, like, oh my god, this is depleting my savings. A couple of months ago, where after the longest time that I have not like taken a training or taken a course from or program from someone, I was just literally hermit mode, and I didn't listen to any podcasts. I just didn't want to, and I just listened to myself. Like, all that I did and I knew I needed was myself, and to cultivate this connection with myself before listening to other people's opinions and other people's content. It wasn't really something intentional that I did, that I was like, no, I cannot. It was just very natural. I just didn't want to. I didn't have the desire to consume any form of spiritual content. There was a phase of my life where I binged a lot of it, and then it just stopped for probably 1.5 years or 2 years. And then when it came again, it was with Ashtara. I'm sure a lot of people who watch me also watch Ashtara's videos. If you haven't already, she is Source Energetics on YouTube, and her videos, her energy is literally clarifying. It's almost like, you know, when you go outside and then it's polluted and then your face feels really like filled with pollution and dirty, and then you go home and you take all of that off with like a cleansing balm or like a makeup remover, and it just feels so clean. That is her energy. Like, she blasts away all the distortions, all the doubts that you have in yourself, and she anchors in your truth. So yeah, do yourself a favor and check her channel out. This is not a collaboration with her, by the way. Like, she doesn't know that I'm doing this. A lot of what I'm going to share is what I have sort of understood and processed within myself and am embodying now after taking her alchemical prosperity program as well as humanifestation. So those two are the only two programs that I felt so called to sort of receive from her, and it's wow. Like, I mean, it's the best thing that I've ever done. What I'm gonna share now is going to completely shift your understanding and your perception towards the money system. In my meditation, I've always seen, when I tap into this network of money, or when I try to clear like my money blocks and I try to, you know, shift like these shadowy stuff around money, I kind of always see it as like a network, almost like, have you ever seen how a motherboard looks like? I mean, I don't even know how it looks like, but basically it looks like electric-y, and it's like a network where it connects to different nodes, and then there's like light moving through. And when I work on it and I clear it, it's like I clear this channel, this path, and then it's black, it's dark in the beginning, and then it would clear, and then there would be light streaming through, and then it would connect to all these different nodes, and then the whole thing lights up. So it's almost like a network. And indeed, that, you know, money is not just what we think it is. And it's always been something very interesting to observe, because there's always almost like a separation from spirituality and money, when in fact money is so like spiritual. Money and spirituality is something that is so intertwined. It's like, you know, someone says, okay, if you're spiritual and you're offering a service, then you shouldn't be like rich, or you shouldn't be wanting money in exchange for your service, because if you're doing that, then all you want is money and blah blah blah. And look, there's almost like this separation that money is evil, and if you're doing spiritual work, then you shouldn't be like doing this about money. You shouldn't be like carrying branded bags, because then, yeah, you get what I mean. So there's a lot of these distortions around money. And what I have sort of come to realize through, you know, taking this program, receiving the transmission of this money grid work, is that money is grid work. And that when we talk about grid work, a lot of, well, the first thing that would come to a lot of people's mind, and my mind initially, was that grid work means like going somewhere and doing something, doing some energetic work. But in fact, spending money is also grid work. And that when you spend money, it's like your energy is going to the money that you're spending, if you consciously spend it in that way and you like program that money in that way. And that money is going to that business, and then it's then going to circulate like across the globe. Can you just imagine how many transactions happen in a day, and your money is literally like cycling in this grid like a washing machine? And what I see is like every time I spend money now, my intention is that this money, this light money, is just the carrier of my light. This clarifying light is going to go to these businesses. It's going to clear all the distortions, all the shadow aspects in the network, and then it's going to circulate, and it's going to reach this person, and then it's going to reach that person, it's going to reach that business, and then it's going to come back to me, and the money's going to come into my account, and my account is like a holding space. So when we talk about money, and money being ours in your bank account, and that's your money, and then if it's in someone else's bank account, it's someone else's money, I've come to realize that it's not really like that. Like today I was just like sort of looking through how much euros I have, because I'm planning for my trip in Greece. And as I was looking at this money, and there were other currencies that like my parents had for decades, like from decades ago, and then I looked at it and I was like, I don't think you can still use this money in Indonesia or like Vietnam or Cambodia, because I don't see people using this anymore. And then it's not a small sum of money, and all this money is just like no value anymore, and it's just paper. And it was in that moment where I was like, wow, money is literally not what we really think it is. And this number in your bank account is literally like almost like points that you have when you're playing a game. And I see my bank now as like a holding account or holding space for money to come in, to be washed, because money holds the consciousness of whoever spent that money. So it's like, for example, if you see money as crystal, right? If you see that $100 in your bank account as like a clear quartz crystal, and the crystal is going to absorb your energy. And when you pass this crystal to someone else, then that someone else is actually receiving that energy in that crystal, your energy from that crystal, which is why when you buy a crystal, or like you buy an amulet, or you buy like a figurine, you know, there's always this ritual where like people tell you, okay, you gotta cleanse it, and then you gotta set your own intention, and then over time it's, this thing is gonna get like infused with your energy. Yes, it's the same with money. If you see it in that way, like a crystal, money is like conscious. And the more that I work with it and see it in that way, I realize that whenever money comes to me, I can feel, okay, this money now wants to go there. And then somehow I will have a nudge to like buy more singing bowls. And this money is like, I want to go there, I want to go there, go there. And then this money will tell me, okay, like this, like I want to go there, I'm going to Egypt, I'm going to Greece, okay, that money needs to go there, I need to like book that hotel, I need to book that flight. Okay, this money wants me to buy from this fashion brand that I would not buy, and then I have to just go and do that, because even if that brand is not a brand that you would support for whatever reason, if you think about how, you know, money works as a cleansing sort of agent, if you program it that way, then of course that money wants to go there, because then it's going to clean out that channel. So it's not like on a superficial level where like, oh, I'm like buying something from this business that I don't resonate with, like then I feel guilty about it, blah blah blah. Like there is a lot of that like a lot of that along the journey, right? That's normal. But if we see it from more of a bigger perspective and an understanding of how money, how we spend, how we receive, how we interact with it as a bigger collective grid work, like more advanced grid work, then it makes actually a lot of sense why it wants to go somewhere, even though a lot of the times this this transaction doesn't seem rational at all, but it just wants to go there, it needs to go there. And then energetically wise, everything will always balance itself out. And that is where that factor of trust comes in. That is where we need to understand how energy works, how this system, the energetics of money works. It's like a law, like gravity, that gravity is always here. You'll not see someone floating around on Earth because there's gravity, and that grounds us, and that like you won't just be randomly flying somewhere. Gravity has not ever not been there for your whole life and lifetimes on Earth. You're always sort of bounded by this law, this physics. And if you see it that way, then the law of energetic balance, always like nature always balancing itself out, the cyclical nature of reality, then you will realize that when you spend a certain amount of money, there will almost be no point in your life where like you will have $0 in your bank account if the spendings and the money going out is in alignment with where this money wants and needs to go. Obviously we can disregard that, and then we can like, you know, do other things we think is better for us and more logical. But if we follow this sort of calling of where money wants to go and we listen to it, right, and we work with it like it's conscious, there is no way that money will not come back to you, or abundance. Let's not talk about money, because abundance, like, you will always be kind of rewarded in a sense. It will always come back to you in some form or another. So it might not be like this exact amount of money coming into your bank account again. It might be more or it might be less, and something else would happen, but eventually it always balances out and you're always taken care of, just like how gravity is always here. So I kind of forgot what was the initial point that I was gonna make, but all of this I was intending to cover anyway, so great, we have already covered that. But yeah, money as like a holding account, I kind of see it like the money that's in my bank account is just temporary. It's not supposed to be there forever. Why? Because if you understand it in a way where, you know, you doing cleansing and grit work, right, with the money that comes in, just imagine like a car wash station, okay? A car coming in, and then this is the car wash station, right? Wash the car gets out, it's clean, right? And then the next car comes in, it's dirty, wash, the car gets out. So it's like there's so much distortion around money. I mean, you can feel it. When you feel and you think about money, most people feel this like it's suffocating, right? And it sometimes, just for me, it feels very much like here when money controls me in a sense. I feel this like shortness of breath, this stress, and then in my brain it starts to get really foggy and tight and like headache almost. And that's when I know, okay, like I need to clear that out. When you're receiving money from someone, you're receiving their energy as well. And whatever intention it was programmed with, you receive it. So when you're aware of this, you receive that money, and then that money gets cleansed by you when you set the intention, when it comes into your account and you're like, okay, it's cleansing, right? It's doing its thing. You don't have to like have a ritual or whatsoever. Like, if you're meant to be doing this, your original programming will run the program itself anyway. Like, you don't have to worry when you turn on your laptop whether like, how are you going to run this program, right? Because it's already written. You just press the button, it turns on, you click the button, it runs the program, it brings up like Google Chrome, or it brings up something, and it's all programmed, the interface, everything. You don't have to worry about it every time you turn on the laptop. So it's the same thing when the money comes in, it just runs its own thing. You just got to be aware that, okay, now this money is in my account, right? It's a holding space, and then one day it's gonna go out, because then when it's cleansed and it's clean and this light is going to go out into the grid, and then it's going to sort of do its thing, right? Spread the light, whatever, and clean the channels, clean the clogged like arteries in the grid itself. Other money is gonna come in, and then your account again, holding space, clean, and then go out. So if you think about it that way, why would money not come to you if you're meant to be doing this grid work? Every one of us, when we're interacting with money consciously, we are already doing that grid work. We are all part of this network. Everybody on earth needs money. Everybody on earth interacts with money. So can you imagine how everybody is actually involved in this grid work, whether you are aware of it or not? So in fact, everybody is part of this network. And can you just pause for a second and comprehend how vast this work actually ripples out into the entire collective, literally into the entire collective. And then obviously, you know, on a 3D this physical level, things are going to change, things are going to shift, but it starts with the energetic work first. So with that having said, the next time that you feel called to spend something, whether it's like on groceries, or whether it's on a program, or whether it's on a journey, or whether it's like on a vacation, can you be aware of how you're feeling, right? How you feel about spending this sum of money, okay? Be aware of it on a physical level, meaning how does your body feel? Where is it coming up in your body? And what are the signs? Can you find a pattern every time you spend money? Can you find a pattern of how it makes you feel? And then note that down, and the next time you spend money or you feel called to do something that's out of your comfort zone, you interact with it. Doesn't have to be out of your comfort zone, because as long as you interact with money, like pulling out your statements and looking at it every month or every quarter, however the frequency it is that you look at your bank account, even just opening like the app and checking how much money you have left, or any interaction with money, how does that feel? And then become aware that, okay, it makes me feel this way, but then start to sort of run the new understanding of money that you just received, and I hope that it's helpful from this video. Run this programming, this new shift in your mindset or in your perspective about money, and into this feeling. So you're like reprogramming this connection towards money, and see how it shifts the way that you make a decision, see how it shifts how you feel. And then on a more advanced level, in a sense, after you have obviously done that and made a connection with money, it's like rebuilding a lost or strained relationship. Like, for example, if you have a strained relationship with your parents, or I don't know, like a friend or a loved one, you can't just forget about them and be like, hey, let's be best friends again. It doesn't work that way. You gotta go in and look at the shit, and then process that, and then be aware of how you respond, how you want to respond differently. Be aware of how it makes you feel, and how you want to consciously shift that. Once you've done that and rebuilt that relationship, then you start to communicate with it, right? Then the communication can sort of happen again, and money is conscious. So this is a thing, like perhaps you can play around with it. Like, don't play around with big sums of money, but maybe small sum, or maybe like you already can feel where money wants to go and you're just like disregarding that. Start to be more aware of like where your money wants to go. And oftentimes it is just completely illogical. Can you try your best to follow that? Because again, like I said, if it is an aligned decision, it will always reward you, in a sense that you won't be like left alone. I know there's a lot of fear, like if I spend this money and it's such a big sum of money and it doesn't make any sense, I want to save it. That is actually, like, saving it is actually not in the highest alignment and not in the highest good, and so it can cause some like blockages around things. Maybe when you spend this money, then certain doors will open, but if you don't, then it's gonna not open until maybe like some time later. But if you were to spend this money, then these doors will open, and then maybe you meet someone, and things happen, and then the energy flows back to you. It always does. It always, as long as that decision, that choice, in its highest alignment. So I've pulled some cards, and let's see what these cards I pulled it from this Earth Warrior deck, and I have the first card, which is Time to Cross the Threshold. I love this deck. The colors are like, wow. Ooh, the precious and rare. Ooh. This word, the word that's coming through for this card is courage. Wow. And hope. This last card, immeasurable power of the heart way. Beautiful. I mean, these cards are energetically a lot, honestly. I don't work with them like every day because it's like the Isis deck that I have. It's a lot of energy to process. Time to cross the threshold. It's time to cross the threshold. It's time to me it almost feels like it's a new beginning, and in order for us to break through this old system, so we're transitioning from an old system into a new one. And yeah, like you can think of it as like the old earth and new earth, and like old systems, new systems, path, like rebirth, stuff like that. A lot of, I mean, I've said this always, and especially since I think it was end of last year's video, no, end of the previous year's video, I don't know, but I remember the message that came through was a lot is going to sort of like, a lot that is not in our enlightenment with unconditional love is going to like fall away. It literally is just gonna melt away, and then these new systems that is in more alignment with unity consciousness, it's in more alignment with unconditional love, like this new earth consciousness is going to come through. So this message is almost like, okay, it's time to cross the threshold. And this thing is that it doesn't just happen like like that. Like there is almost like a transition where we will go through, and we're in the transition now, which is why a lot of us are feeling a lot more of these, like if we talk about money, these money things, or a lot of like relationship things, or a lot of stuff that's just sort of like coming up, purged, blowing apart, and then redirect us to this, greater alignment in a sense, and what's meant to be, yeah. And it's time to cross the threshold. So do the work that you're being called to do. Full stop. Yeah. I was like, can you give more information? And they're like, nope. Okay. So that's you interpret this for yourself, okay? And then the second card is the precious and the rare. This courage and hope. Honestly, you are a very, very precious soul. From this card, this is what I'm getting. You are a very precious soul, and that I feel like I'm talking to a group of it's a very specific group of people in a sense where, I mean, very advanced hybrids and like starseeds, whatever you call it, very advanced souls that are listening to this right now, and you're receiving this, you're receiving this message and this transmission about money, which would trigger a lot of people. And if you resonate with what I have shared so far, then it just proves that you kind of already know, right? You already know. It's just you don't know how to put it into words. And I hope that you don't have to put it into words. You just, it's just everywhere. And then now I hope that it has sort of helped to organize something into place, like energetically, and then like, okay, like shift this, like align this, shift this into place, and then something would click. So, I mean, you're meant to be doing this work, which is why I said, like, you're meant to be doing this grid work on a very advanced level. And it's like the washing machine thing, like, you are a freaking money like car washing business, money washing machine. And obviously, if it's time to cross the threshold, and this is destined, right? So obviously, if this isn't going to happen, then this cleanse needs to happen. And so money obviously is going to come to you so that it's cleansed, and then it goes out, and then it comes in and then goes out. But again, it's that development of the relationship with money, and the trust with your intuition, the trust with this relationship with the consciousness of money, to act in a certain way and to sort of direct your money in a certain place, even if it's out of your comfort zone, and even if it does not make any sense. There is a higher purpose where wherever it's supposed to go, it sort of clears that, or it activates something. So yes, you're meant to be doing this. So the message about courage and the message about hope, like it's a very hopeful feeling. There's no feeling of fear at all when I see this and I feel into this, that your relationship with money is going to have a very profound shift. And instead of dread and fear, it's going to be ease, flow, and hopefulness. And then the last card is immeasurable power of the heart way. And the heart, like listening to your heart, because a lot of the times when you communicate with money, it comes through as like just a knowing. You just know where this money needs to go, and this flow of money is always in alignment with the heart, is always in alignment with the high heart, specifically is always in alignment with unconditional love. This is something that you can try to do as well, even if it's just like paying for coffee or like water or a meal. Be very conscious when you're spending. Send that energy of love. And that what I do is, like, when I tap my card or when I pay cash, I'll say, okay, like, I ask that this money goes where it needs to go. It helps whoever needs help. And I want this light to literally like clear out any distortion in the money system, in the money grid, and light up, like activate the crystalline structure, the crystalline light template of the original light template, the highest crystalline light template of money. Because there is a lot of sort of layers. It's like when we come into this human body, in the beginning, however many days or however many months of our lives as a baby, we are still sort of like drifting in and out of the dimensions, and we haven't had all the conditionings and the programmings and the layers and the labels and the need to do's, and the expectations coming to us. So it's almost like our divine original blueprint is there, like it's still very, very clean. And then somehow as we go along, as we grow up, and then education, blah blah blah, this is the journey, these layers start to come up, and then, you know, in our journey we clean it, and then we reveal our true self, which I talked about in a previous video. So yeah, this is the same with the money template, that now we're clearing a lot of these stuff, and then sort of revealing the original like template of money. Whew. Okay, last thing that I feel wants to come through is okay, I'm looking at this last card, and it is like telling me there's one last message about love, about unconditional love, that when you spend it in alignment with that frequency, it comes back to you. That frequency comes back to you. So if you spend it in fear, the money that you earn that returns back to you is going to be like of a fearful state. So no matter how much money you make, if the state of which that you are in right now is fearful, is scarce, money is only going to amplify the state that you're in right now. So if you shift it into a state of ease, grace, which is something I'll talk about, it takes time, then the money that comes back to you is going to amplify more of the state that you're in, which is ease, grace, abundance, right? So yeah, in terms of shifting from the state in which you're in now, whatever it is, for a lot of people it's still fear, it's still a lot of mistrust with money, a lot of stuff, and into the state of ease, grace, and trust, like full trust. That work is a lot. Like, it takes a lot of awareness, because this money programming is so dense that it is so easy to slip into this fear-based, you know, energy, and then get sucked into it. And it takes a very strong and conscious awareness to get out of it. If you ever need to get out of it, perhaps watch this transmission again, and that will, because, you know, this is beyond words, this is also an energetic transmission, it will sort of blast all of that. Okay, my memory card is full, so I guess it's time to end this. Thank you so much for watching this and receiving this transmission. I will link Ashtara's stuff in the description box, so feel free to check that out. It has really helped me a lot. You know, I wish that everybody can sort of experience this shift for themselves as well, because the more of us that we're doing this work, the more the merrier, and the faster things, you know, get to cross the threshold, like the first card. And if you like the way that I share things, if you like my energy and you would like to work with me on a deeper level, then I do offer one-on-one sessions, so that is going to be linked in the description box below as well. Yeah, thank you so much, and I will see you in the next one.